Hi there. My name is Josh, and if there's one thing I love, it is old and often cheaper or goofier synthesizers. And in that respect, Casio is really iconic. The SK1, a beloved and fun little sampling keyboard. The MT68, objectively the greatest keyboard ever made. The theme that you might be picking up on here is that these older Casio synths definitely tend towards being toy-like, especially aesthetically. But what if I told you that there was a Casio synth that was not only incredibly complex, it was more complex and in some ways more versatile and powerful than a lot of modern synthesizers? You might tell me I'm crazy, and I'm not going to say you'd be wrong, but it wouldn't be because of that. But today's the day that we challenge an established narrative with the Casio CZ-5000. I'm going to put this down now. The Casio CZ-5000 is from Casio's CZ line of synths from the mid-80s. It started with the Casio CZ-101, which is just a fun little friend, which was then repackaged in a bigger box as the Casio CZ-1000. After the CZ-1000, there was the CZ-3000, CZ-5000, and then I think Casio forgot how to count and wanted to start over, because they just jumped back to the CZ-1. Casio intended to have the CZ line of synths dethrone the Yamaha DX7, which, to be honest, would be like me trying to win a wrestling match against an elephant. But even if they didn't accomplish that goal, the CZ line, particularly the CZ-101, did accomplish sales success and is still a beloved synth by a lot of people. But what's so interesting about the CZ-5000? We're gonna break it down into pieces because this synth somehow vacillates between being very complex and very powerful and then having this very endearing level of vintage clunkiness. And we're going to start by talking about sound generation because the CZ-5000 uses a type of synthesis called phase distortion, and I will do my best to explain it despite it being programmed on a screen that looks like it got pulled off of my calculator watch, which, wait, this is also made by Casio. So let's hop into a blank patch. I'm going to go to B3 and I'll hit a key and you don't hear anything. So let's first try programming an amplitude envelope. Over here we have a DCO, DCW, which is like it's like a filter, and DCA. And we're going to hit envelope on our DCA. And, I apologize. I have a single camera set up, so it's tricky for me to get shots that will very clearly show this screen. But it says amp, step 1, end, and then rate and level. So what we're going to want to do first is we press end to take end off of here, because when you're putting together a patch, you get to choose how many steps the envelope will have, how quickly it moves to those steps and the value assigned to that step. And then when you press end, that is the last step of that envelope. So it's an 8-stage envelope, but it can be less than 8 stages if you want. In this case, we're on the DCA, so this is going to control amplitude. So why don't we use these buttons to change values. I'm going to hold it to bring the rate up to 80. So not an instantaneous attack, but pretty darn close. And we'll bring the level also up to 80. And now we can move up through the envelope steps. I'll hit up. This one, it says sus over here, which I know Among Us meme, but what that means is sustain. And that's the value that if I held down a key, you can kind of hear a sound. That's the value that it would be sustained on. For the second stage of our envelope, let's see. I think that I'd like the sound to drop down a bit. So we will bring the rate up to 60 and we'll bring the level up to 55. Step 3. This will be where we'll have the sustain button. So we're going to have it swell and then sustain at that level. I'm going to bring the rate up to 60 and the level will come back up to 80. And we'll hit sus to have it sustain at this level. Going to the next step in the envelope, we'll have the volume swell a little bit more by bringing the rate up to 80 and the level or value to 87. We're going to go to step 5 and this will be our end step, and I'll hit end and I'm going to set it to 30. So now that we can actually hear the oscillators, let's talk about how you change the wave. You press this waveform button and it brings you to a screen where you get to choose your waveform. And you get to combine two waveforms. I'm going to choose waveform 1 as my first waveform, and we'll do waveform, let's try waveform 2 as the second. And you can hear how that added another layer to the sound. We'll try another combo. Why don't we try 1 and 3? Let's see. Or 2 and 3. Here's 2 and 4. But this rabbit hole can go deeper. Now, you have those 8-stage envelopes, and we walked through assigning one to the DCA. However, you can also assign it to the DCW, which is like the filter, and the DCO for the pitch. And awesomely, you can do independent ones for the first oscillator DCA and second oscillator DCA. First oscillator DCW, second oscillator DCW. And to save our patch, I hold right, and then I just tap the slot that I want to write that patch to, and it's saved. And now I can turn it off without fear. I'm sure at this point you would like to see anything other than more patching, so why don't we try out our factory presets? Brass ensemble. Flute. Fairy tale. Fantastic organ. And typhoon sound. I should mention at this point that the CZ-5000 has a built-in chorus. Like, it's basically a Juno, right? You can even layer two patches, which does chew up the polyphony, but fattens up the sound even more. So even though the patch generation process is really involved and complicated, you could argue that you do get a lot out of it for how much you have to put in. Within the CZ line of synths, the CZ-5000 and CZ-1 had their own unique features. In the CZ-1, it was aftertouch and velocity. So what did the CZ-5000 have? Amazingly, an 8-track sequencer. And I want to give a quick shout out to Synths and Sounds. Without their video on how to work the CZ-5000 sequencer, I would have been totally lost and had no idea what to do. I've linked their video on it in the description down below, and I would recommend you check it out and subscribe to their channel if you're not. And also, if you're enjoying the video, please consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. But anyway, sequencer. On the right side of the synth are the controls for putting notes into the sequencer and then playing it back. So why don't we just jump in? We have to hit sequencer mode, and then we don't have anything in any of these tracks right now. I'm gonna hit manual, and I'm gonna, while holding it down, press the track 1 button. And it says on the screen, select programmer. So over in the programmer, we'll choose a patch. Why don't we choose... I like the sound of that. So we'll use this one. We move through our sequencer steps using the reverse or forward buttons, And the first thing that I'll do is I'm going to press this little repeat button, and I press it 9 times to get it to just repeat indefinitely. And then we'll use eighth notes, and I'll just do something simple. So after I've recorded that, if I hit reset and then play, you can hear it's playing it back. So if I wanted to record into the second track, hold manual, press the second track, I select a program. There is a synth bass somewhere in here. It unfortunately doesn't show the name while I'm selecting it in this mode. That's pretty good. Okay, so A5 was what we wanted. So like before, I'll go over and I'm going to press this 9 times, infinite repeats. And I want to do a whole note, which will then tie to a half note, and then add another half note. And same pattern as before, but this time with B flats. We'll add a B flat, whole note, tie to a half note, B flat, and then a C. And if I hit reset, we can add a third track. Manual, I'll hit track 3, select programmer. This time I'm going to use, let's see if I can remember where it is. There it is. Have this one just be an arpeggio. And we'll hit reset. Now first, before we do anything else, I'll hit track check. And for track 3, I'm going to bring its level down because I don't want it to be as loud as the others. Now, when I play, and so now if I wanted to, let's say, solo over something that we had going on there, I'll just hop over here into A1. I showed that you can use the track check button to check a track's volume, and then when the sequencer is playing, you can hit a button for a track to mute that track, and then bring it back in. And when you want to delete a track, you hold delete, press the track you want to delete, and they are now gone forever. So in case it isn't clear, the CZ-5000 has like amazed and perplexed me. I mean, it's a vintage Casio synth, but it's huge, it is confoundingly deep, and it has so much going on that I only barely touched on the fact that you can layer the sounds. I very briefly mentioned the chorus, and I don't think I brought up that there's 5-pin MIDI, which, I mean, it's more of a pro-targeted synth, so it shouldn't be surprising to see that, but for me as someone who's very used to the cheaper Casio synths, having a Casio with 5-pin MIDI feels like some kind of wish come true. Do I think that you should get one? I mean, only if you're really absolutely certain that you want that phase distortion synthesis sound. The CZ synths just have their own sound, and having your own unique sound is both a blessing and a curse. If you're into it, you know, that's great, it's for you. If you're not into it, It's hard to escape that kind of like phase distortion sound that the CZ synths are, so drawn towards. And of course, the navigation with the menus on the small and simple screen, I realize that that is something that could be a total turnoff for people, and, totally fair. Like, you shouldn't get an instrument if it's not something that you think you would enjoy using and find rewarding and worthwhile to you. If you are taken by the Casio CZ-5000, I want to make it clear, I'm not telling you to go out and buy one. There are some that you might find they pop up on eBay or on Reverb, but usually they're priced a little bit higher than I would suggest. I think for the one that I got, I paid about $300, which I thought was a pretty good price for what I was getting. It's in pretty good shape, just missing one fader. But I wouldn't suggest paying like a huge amount. If you're interested in the CZ synths, but you're not too married to any particular model, if you go on to local classifieds as opposed to just online marketplaces, I think that you'll find that there are, every now and again, there's going to be someone who like finds one in their attic and just wants to sell it for a quick buck. And that's the time for you to swoop in. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. Normally I'd have a sample pack. I like to make one whenever I feature a synth to share some of the sounds. But the CZ-5000 is complex enough that I wanted to spend more time with it so that I could give people, better samples. We're really close to 3,000 subscribers, which is like super exciting. And I thought that maybe when we get to 3,000 subscribers, as a little celebration, I'll release a big sample pack with a bunch of different synths, and I'll include the CZ-5000 in that. And kind of on that topic, if you enjoyed the video and you haven't already, please consider leaving a like and hitting subscribe. If you have any experience with the CZ synths, or if you have any questions about the 5000, leave it in the comments. I love seeing both what people think and what people want to know. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks again, and bye.